So welcome to my studio in Portland. Um, I share this with two other artists, and I wanted to give you a glimpse into my studio and into working on a new painting, which I just recently started. It was rather noisy in my studio today, so I wasn't able to talk to you directly in front of the canvas. My neighbor was doing some loud things, so I decided to just kind of do a voiceover the video and just take you on a journey as I start this painting. I've pinned the canvas to the wall. It's just a loose tapestry style. And so like unstretched canvas, just raw canvas that I've bought at the art store. So I pinned that to the wall, and then I attached the fabric to create what I call the theater curtain, and have begun to sketch what I am eventually going to paint. And I start out with a light colored charcoal or chalk pastel. And I find that using a really light color at first helps when I'm trying to get the size and proportions of a drawing to begin, and then going over that with a darker one. Now, this will most likely show through at the end if you're using a heavy dark charcoal. So if you're worried about that, I like that look, especially with these, what I would call messier paintings, more visceral paintings. I don't even use crisp lines until the very end. I kind of do some details with more refined and crisp lines, but these are a bit messier. I like that the charcoal shows through with the layers of paint. So it's a definite look. And if you don't want that look, I suggest that you just stay with a light colored charcoal, white. I start with white. There's kind of a cream color that would probably match the canvas too much. Light blue would be great. I've done that before. That works really well. So I just sketch out most of the design that I'm going to do, and often that changes as I'm painting, but it's a start. And so after the charcoal, I just began applying paint. And for these more visceral paintings, I am not exact. So there's nothing, I'm not worried about a single thing here. I'm not worried about making a mistake, and I love that feeling. You can see over to the right of the video, to the far right, there's a painting with a green background. It's like a portrait, and it's got an anatomical heart in it as well. But it is much more refined and exact. So that type of painting is very different from what I'm doing in the video. And I kind of come to these more tapestry paintings that are messier, looser, with a sense that there isn't a mistake that can happen. I mean, if I spilt paint on the whole thing somehow, I guess I would just work with that. So I go along and get everything filled in mostly around the main image. So the anatomical heart in this case, I'm going to get more defined and separating it from the background. And I do this with just multiple layers of paint. The way it tends to happen is I'm all over the canvas. So a lot of people will work in one spot, like the right upper corner. But I'm going to be working around the whole canvas the whole time. And that's just what feels right for me. And my eye travels across the canvas a lot. So I'll see something here, something there. But in the beginning, I'm just trying to get down some layers of paint. And differentiating the foreground and the background. So right now I'm kind of outlining the anatomical heart and kind of cleaning up the image in a way that I'm defining more what it looks like. And if there's any mistakes, I'm trying to correct them during this phase. So a lot of times when I'm drawing, I'm kind of in a zone, and I don't realize, like, oh wait, does it really look like that? You know, so I kind of second question things. And then as I'm finalizing the drawing, I'm making it more clear and more defined, not in a very tight way, but just like, oh yeah, this is supposed to look like this, so I'm going to cover this other mistake up, or whatever. Mistake in quotations. So yeah, this is the beginnings. So this is how one of these very large paintings start, and I hope you enjoy watching it. It was very cold in the studio, so I have probably 3 layers of clothing on under my jumpsuit. I do have heaters overhead, but I don't have an actual ceiling until the roof of the compound of the building. The building I'm in, and I'm going to make a video of my studio space and the art compound I'm in. It was an old marine ironworks building. So it was a very industrial building. The building I'm in has an incredibly tall roof ceiling. And when the studios were made in this portion, because there's several portions, there is no direct ceiling. So it just opens up to the roof line. And there's some heaters that were put in overhead that generally keep you fairly warm in the winter if you get them on and leave them on the whole time. And I usually have space heaters kind of below that are also blowing on my legs and stuff. So yeah, so I'll definitely make a video of my studio space at some time and give you a tour of that. It's very interesting, and a lot of great artists and friends are there. There's about 50 plus artists in the entire compound. Yeah, it's a great community. So I'm starting to apply some color. In my mind, I've picked the color tones that I'm going to work with. So with this the other painting was very heavy red and black based, and this one is going to be more golds and blue, which I haven't done before. I've usually used either very neutral colors or very bright colors for the heart series. So here I'm just trying to fill in the background. There's a desire to want to make the whole background a color. So this starts to help formulate the foundation of the foreground, background, and how everything's going to integrate. So I'm just going to get down color, and I'm just using a ton load of paint and also mixing it with water. So in part of the video, you'll see me dip my brush into my water can and quickly bring it back to the canvas and just let it drip. Like, I'll just kind of brush it across the color field, and whatever water is dripping down, that's great. Like, the more drips, the better for this. And so that's what I'm concentrating on here. So I usually use an old tray or palette of some kind. I like these old sheet pans. I find them at thrift stores, pretty cheap because it doesn't matter what condition they're in. And it's got a little lip on it so things don't drip off like a flat palette does, like your traditional artist palette. This has a nice edge to it, and I can mix the paints with mediums and water, and it's not going to drip all over the place. So I don't stick to one type of paint. This is all acrylic paint. I do paint in oils as well, but these paintings are mostly acrylic. And I usually have leftover colors and things from various projects, and I just try to use them up. Sometimes at a thrift store or estate sale, I'll find like a box of paints and just buy those and use them up as well. So yeah, I'm still working on the background in the video and trying to get down a lot more color and a lot more paint. You'll see on the right side, one of my finished pieces is on the right, and there are just multiple layers and layers and layers of paint and design on that. So this blue background that I'm working on is really just the first layer, the first step of the background, just to get some color down and fill up that void of a canvas. And it's really helpful to not be looking at a blank canvas. It really starts to help my mind in figuring out what I'm going to do next as soon as I've got that background down. So just filling in, like I said, I dip my paintbrush into the water directly and just brush it across and let whatever drips down drip down, and that's the effect that I'm going for here.